Comment, like, subscribe. The bell keeps you notified. It helps the show thrive. Names can be used in a huge variety of ways. While primarily used as the words we choose to reflect a specific person or thing, we have found other uses for names too. They can bring people together like we saw with same name gatherings in a video from a bit ago, and we also use them to bring people together through marriage as couples decide to share a name. People, however, are seemingly always finding new and creative ways to use names, and somewhat recently a name was used in a way I have never ever seen one used before. It was used in a protest. At least I'm calling this event a protest. I think others might call it a stunt or organised event. One definition for a protest is a statement or action expressing disapproval of or objecting to something, and I feel this fits the bill. Let me know if you feel otherwise though. Anyway, in 2022, a group of people decided to use one name in particular to protest an issue that they felt needed addressing. That group of people in particular being a collection of primarily Dutch women. And the one name in particular they chose to use was Peter. Now, Peter is a pretty common unassuming male name in many parts of the world, along with its international variations. It simply comes from the Greek Petros, meaning stone, but this isn't fun with first names. The name has been steadily popular in the Netherlands for quite some time, with it being extremely popular in the early to mid 20th century. It seems in more recent years, however, that name has actually nosedived pretty heavily out of popularity in the Netherlands. Perhaps Peter faces the same fate like Gary and Nigel face here in the UK. But why was it this dying name that so many Dutch women decided to use, and how exactly did they use it to protest? Well, let's look into the how first, as that is fairly simple to answer. How they did this was by simply changing their first name on various online platforms, most noticeably LinkedIn, to Peter. Why they did this, however, was to demonstrate a specific issue that had been uncovered in the workplace. That issue being just how few female CEOs there are in the Netherlands. In a study conducted by the Dutch newspaper AD and research by Equilab and another carried out by the interest group Women Inc., it was discovered that out of 93 companies surveyed in the Netherlands, 5 of them had CEOs with the name Peter. That in a vacuum doesn't seem too odd, I suppose. 5 out of 93 isn't too high of a number all in all. The real issue came with just how many of those CEOs were women. Of those 93, only 4 companies had female CEOs. Yep. There were more CEOs with the name Peter out of those surveyed than there were women CEOs at all, regardless of first name. This led to many women in the Netherlands wishing to highlight this lack of sex and gender diversity in CEO roles in the nation, which was done by women changing their first name on LinkedIn to the name Peter. This change was done between the 24th to 28th of January 2022, and many notable women took part in this protest. One of the most noticeable being the editor-in-chief of Vogue Netherlands, Yillies Cicek. She, writing under the name of Peter Cicek, wrote on LinkedIn that, "This week, my name is Peter." Why? I want to help focus attention on this shocking fact. In the Netherlands, there are more CEOs called Peter than CEOs who are women. Such a stunning lack of diversity at the top simply shouldn't exist. Women are structurally underrepresented in executive positions, while diversity at the top is proven to boost profits. It's time for this to change. That's why I'm calling on every woman in my network to speak out on this issue. You might be wondering how exactly changing your name on a social media platform most people don't fully understand makes any sort of change. And while this act isn't aimed at directly making an instant change, its aim is to highlight the lack of female CEOs in the nation. As mentioned, one of the groups who organised this initiative was a company called Women Inc. Their page on the matter is full of interesting information, so it may be worth checking out for yourself. They explain that the name Peter represents a greater lack of diversity in the workplace, not only in terms of gender, but also in terms of background and age, and that lack is not only at the top or only only in large companies. Of course, Peter is primarily a male name, so the name represents those men, but it represents more than just men. As mentioned, Peter in the Netherlands really had its heyday in the mid-20th century. This means that the Dutch CEO Peters are not only male, but are more than likely to be older men too, simply due to the fact that this name was popular in the past. This means that the name Peter implies to so many that the people primarily running many of the companies in the Netherlands are older men, which they might take umbrage with. Women Inc. wrote on their website about why representation is important, saying that representation on the work floor is important. You can't be what you can't see. It works like a chain reaction. If more women move up to decision-making positions, you create role models who can support others with similar ambitions. For an inclusive workplace, it is important that people see themselves in different layers of the organization. It goes beyond women just seeing role models, however. If all the higher-ups at a company are just men, issues might arise that men are not aware of at all. A great example of this is with my overlord, and probably yours too, Google. Sheryl Sandberg was running Google's online sales and operations in 2004 when she was pregnant with her first child. At this time, Google was growing rapidly, and that meant car parking became an issue at their HQ. A pregnant Sandberg had to often park at the back of the car park and walk to the office while heavily pregnant. During this time, she found out that Yahoo had designated pregnancy parking at the front of their office. Sandberg went to the Google office founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin's office to explain that they should have pregnancy parking at the front of the office. Brin agreed with Sandberg immediately and said that it was something he had never even thought about. This anecdote shows us that having women in these higher up positions allows these issues that many men might not even think about be tackled. And it also highlights that many of these kinds of issues aren't men being sexist or demeaning, but them simply not knowing, because these issues revolve around things they will never experience. That's a bit of a tangent, but go read Invisible Women for more stories like that. It's where I first heard that story, and there's many more like it in there. None of that has anything to do with the name Peter, however, nor the Netherlands. Going back to Women Inc., they also explained how this division in the workplace happens by saying the causes of this inequality are both cultural and systemic. For example, the unequal distribution of work and care between men and women has a major impact on their employment opportunities. But gender stereotyping, prejudice based on someone's gender, also stands in the way of women reaching the top in business. Fewer women at the top also means fewer role models, while visible role models can contribute to more women in decision-making positions. It wasn't just women, however, who changed their names to Peter. A number of high-up men in the Netherlands did so too, to show their support and solidarity with women in the workplace. One of the most noticeable ones was Martin van Possum, the global director for public affairs at Heineken, the very popular Dutch beer. He actually changed it up a little bit too. Instead of changing his name to Peter, he changed his name to Petra, a female form of the name Peter. Martin, aka Petra, said on the matter that, "The past few days, my name was Petra." Why? I want to help focus attention on this shocking fact. In the Netherlands, there are more CEOs called Peter than CEOs who are women. Such a stunning lack of diversity at the top simply shouldn't exist. Women are structurally underrepresented in executive positions, while diversity at the top is proven to boost profits. It's time for this to change. That's why I'm calling on all my men in my network to speak out on this issue. Something interesting I found when researching this video is I found very little against the idea. Sometimes I like to try and show a balanced argument and share both sides of the story, but either there is no other side of this story, or I don't know the correct parts of the Dutch internet to check for the opposing views. I imagine it's more that situation. If anyone out there can highlight some retaliation against this story, that would be hugely appreciated. You might, however, be wondering if any of this has actually worked. And once again, I'm not too sure. This whole event happened relatively recently. Not even a year ago. Hopefully it made enough of an impact on the Dutch world for people to realize the importance of having women in CEO roles and make that change. Perhaps we'll start to see more Dutch female CEOs in the near future. But, as I said at the start of this video, using a name to protest is definitely not a way I've seen a name ever used before. This video topic was suggested by Randy Van Halen over on my Patreon. Every Wednesday, I put up a video request post over on my Patreon for my awesome patrons to leave video ideas on. I then pick one of those ideas to be turned into a video the following Wednesday. So if you have a great idea for a Name Explain video and wish to enjoy Name Explain videos ad-free as well as get exclusive content, then why not support the channel on Patreon? It takes just $1 a month to help the channel in a huge way and gets you all of these amazing benefits. Visit patreon.com/nameexplain or click the link down below. Name Explain depends on viewers like yourself supporting the channel financially on Patreon, so a huge thank you to everyone who does. Donating just $1 a month helps the channel amazingly and gets you bonuses including ad-free videos, exclusive content, and the power to request ideas to be made into actual Name Explain videos. $2 a month gets you all that, plus your name here with all these awesome people. Visit patreon.com/nameexplain or click the link down below to find out how you too can support the channel. Thank you. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. Why not watch another and subscribe to keep up to date on all things Name Explain. You can find myself on Instagram where I'm NameExplainYT and join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain to talk with myself and other name nerds. All that will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and once again, thank you all so much.